Welcome to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC. It's your opportunity to learn more about your garden and your yard, about dealing with pests, and about taking care of the birds. You can be part of the show with your questions at 395-1450. That's 395-1450. And now, from DeBruyn Seeds on Washington Avenue in Zeeland, here's the Master Gardener, Jan Meeuwsen.
And good morning, everybody. I got a little tickle in my throat. Maybe I should have done a little singing beforehand, but hey, I think we can do it. We're live here in the studio right now. Phone lines are open, 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450 is the number to call if you got any gardening questions. Until then, I'm just going to remind you the 2025 DeBruyn Pet Calendar. I need your pet pictures. So if you can get them emailed over to me at the store at DeBruynSeed@gmail.com. That is DeBruynSeed@gmail.com. Just send me your pet's beautiful pictures along with their name and your name, and we'll get them in the pet calendar. You got till the end of September to get those pictures in. So I will thank you in advance for getting your pictures in. We've gotten some cute pictures of some animals in already. I am so jealous that all of you seem to be able to take these wonderful pictures of your pets. And honestly, I tried yesterday. My cat and I like to sit out on the deck and play with bubbles. And I thought this would be a great picture. Bubbles floating in the air and the cat jumping and grabbing them. And as long as I had my phone anywhere near my lap, that cat would just sit there and stare at me. Would not do anything. Blowing bubbles, nothing. The second I put that phone away, he is doing backflips and all kinds of things to go after these bubbles. So, I don't know how you get these great pictures, but hey, send them on in. I am going to try again and again to try to get a picture of Stanley, my cat, playing with bubbles on the deck. It's kind of fun. He absolutely loves that. And no, we don't do it in the house, but we do it out on the deck, and he loves that. So get your pictures in of your pets to me at DeBruyn Seed Store. If you want to bring the originals in, we can scan them in the computer, and then we'll have them, and we'll give you the originals back. I don't want to keep your original picture, but we can do that also. Okay, there are a couple of big sales going on at DeBruyn's right now. The biggest one, and the one that I like the best, is there's $2 off a 20-pound bag of Jan's No Waste Birdseed. That's the big sale of the week. That's a great deal. So $2 off all the 20-pound Jan's No Waste. And Ken also put the Sweet Licks and Trophy Deer Rocks on sale also. I think they're $2 or $3 off each. So those are a great buy. And I was writing up my notes yesterday. Yeah, I did do it yesterday. And I pulled this week from last year. And I noted that last year, the fall price of sunflower seed was $19.98. Our normal everyday price of sunflower is $16.98 right now for a 40-pound bag. So it has gone down $3 in the past year. So not everything goes up. Some things come down, just like the grass seed. Again, I noted that the 5-pound bag of Sun and Shade, which will cover about 1,000 square feet if you got to do some patching in this fall, is on sale right now for $12.25. Last year, it was on sale for $12.75. So, again, less than last year, so it's always great. The 25-pound bag is $51.25. It's like $2 or $3 less than it was last year at this time. So if you need to do some fall patching or you're going to put in a lawn, this is the time to buy the grass seed. It is the best price it's been all year is right now. So, and this is the perfect time to put it down between August 15 and October 15. So you've got a while. It doesn't like you have to do it this weekend, but you've got, another month and a half, almost 2 months to do some grass seed. So, you can put it in right now and it's on sale. So, hey, it's less than it was last year. What a great thing. And I was noting, when I came in the other day, that it looks more like fall at DeBruyn's than the end of summer. And, I listened to the weather and it's going to be 80 during the week. And, I'm thinking, but everyone seems to think it's fall. And we at DeBruyn seem to think it's going to be fall also. So um, everybody is planting now, whether it be a food plot, a new lawn, or just some things to put in the garden right now. But this is the time to get all your seeds and get them in the ground. This is the great time. Um, Another thing that reminds me of fall, people are complaining about skunks invading their lawns looking for small grubs, and they can make just a terrible mess. So we want to get out there and put some Dilox down on the lawn to kill those little grubs in the lawn right now. That will help you out a lot. And we're sending out lots of soil tests, but that's kind of par for this time of year. Fall always goes up with the amount of testing that we do. But the rodent cafe is already busy. Normally, we got to have some cold nights and everyone's in there, oh my goodness, the mice are moving. But the shorter day length does, tell the mice that, hey, we got to start looking for some place for the winter. They're not dumb. They know this. They know that, the temperatures can vary, but they do go by, day length. So the shorter days, which they are right now, um, they're trying to find that way in. So we have to stop that way in. We still have to keep that. We're going to have another couple hot days this week. Get that fungicide out there, do a preventative spray. Hot, humid weather, it's disease time. So we don't need that, especially in your crops or in your flowers and on your lawn. They're all three that we're having problems with. So keep that fungicide spray just at arm's length that you can quickly grab it and use it. Deer and rabbit, huge problem right now, eating everything, especially deer right now. Got a lot of people coming in for liquid fence. Also, the plant skid repellent. It's a newer one. It's based on blood meal. It's an organic one. Greg likes to say that one smells like the butcher table, whereas the other ones will smell like garlic or something like that. This one does not smell like garlic at all. It's kind of a different smell. You don't smell it after a while. It's not like it just stays there, but the animals can, and it really does work. We also have the Everguard. That's quite a new one also for the repellents for the animals, and it's good if you always do just do. I only ever do liquid fence. It's always good to then all of a sudden go, well, hey, now I'm going to do something different. I'm going to mix it up a little bit just so that the animals don't get used to one thing. So if you're always using liquid fence, you might want to come in and get some Everguard or plant skid just to kind of mix it up a little bit. That's always a good thing. The problems that we're seeing that are coming in, small, round, misshapen cucumbers. We've had quite a few people bring those in. That is a problem with poor pollination. And really, it's not your fault. During the hot, humid weather that we had, the pollen gets sticky and it also becomes sterile. So you can't go from a male flower to a female flower when it's sticky. It's not gonna pollinate anything, and if it's sterile, obviously it's not gonna pollinate anything. So that's why you get those small, misshapen little cucumbers. But once the weather, today's weather and last week's, and well, it might get a little hot out again this week, but it should be okay. So you should start getting better looking cucumbers. So don't worry about that. And other cucurbits might be the same way. You might get some of the squash to look a little odd when it gets hot out, but don't worry about it. Once it gets a little cooler, things are much better. If all of a sudden you get a spot where you just aren't getting any new tomatoes, it's probably because the weather got too hot and the pollen, it just did not, it was too sticky. It did not just, go by the wind easily from one flower to another. That's probably the reason. Just wait for some more even temperatures and more temperate temperatures, and you should be okay. I was doing some research, and the female flower is open for only one day. So the male flower's got to get pollen on there for one day. And if you want to pollinate it, it really needs to see at least 15 bee visits for maximum pollination. And it's really only open during the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. So one day only between 9 and 4, it needs 15 visits by a bee. So we can't have windy weather that the bees aren't out or rainy weather. So that all makes a whole big difference in how many plants that you get, especially if it needs to be fertilized via bees. So I thought that was kind of funny. Only between 9 and 4, Monday through Friday. No. But you have to make sure, and it's got to be the perfect temperature. And, boy, those female flowers certainly are a little bit on the picky side, shall we say. Picky, picky. Okay, that's one thing that's big problem this week. Another thing that's a huge problem this week has been crabgrass, and it's not little crabgrass. It's big crabgrass. It's mature crabgrass in your lawn. You really want to get rid of it before it starts sending out seed heads, because it every plant can send out thousands of seeds. So that's why we want to get rid of it, kill it before it starts sending out seeds, because those seeds can last in the ground 10, 20 years. It seems like they last there quite a while. So we need to get rid of the crabgrass in the lawn. There is a crabgrass destroyer is sold out for the year right now, but we do have the Bio Advanced Crabgrass Killer, which does a good job on the large crabgrass. So you might want to grab that and get out there and spray your crabgrass. At least I did mine already. And I was, shocked how quickly it killed it. It just, the lawn looks so nice. All of a sudden, that crabgrass was just gone. What a great thing. I love it. So if you've got a problem with crabgrass, the guys can help you out. The Bio Advanced Crabgrass Killer. It's a spray, and you can just, take the little wand and just aim right at the crabgrass plants. I love that. Love it. It's like you're shooting something there. You're just kind of getting rid of it. Great way to do it. Bermuda grass, that's another big problem right now. But hey, it's one that we're going to talk about after the messages here.
Weekday mornings at 7:55 a.m. Catch the huge interview with me, Bill Simonson, on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
Jazzy music there. I kind of like that one. All right, we were talking about the weeds in the lawn. One thing people are complaining about right now is the Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass loves the hot weather, and our grasses don't really like the hot weather all that much, the cool season grasses. So the Bermuda grass, if you've got it, you'll know it. It's there. Kind of spreads over the top of the ground rather than in the ground. It's not really a fun grass to have. So we do have, unfortunately, crabgrass destroyer is sold out for the year. Next year, you're going to have to come in early and grab a container of that. But right now, we do have the Bio Advanced Bermuda Grass Killer. It's got phenoxyprop in it, which is an okay one for Bermuda grass, but you might have to spray it several times, like every week, every 2 weeks while it's warm out. Go out there and spray it. So that is one thing to do. Um, everyone, I smell skunks. That's the big thing. You go to bed and you wake up in the morning and you smell skunks, and then you look out in the backyard and it's a mess. And they've been digging for grubs, and the grubs are active right now. They're very small little grubs right now, but you can put down Dilox right now. It's a 24-hour grub killer. You need to put it down, but you also need to water it in well afterwards. So either do it right before a rain or water it in with your sprinkler. It does photodegrade in the sunshine, so you do need to get that out down on there. And we do have a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. You're on the Garden Show.
Good morning, Jan. I have two questions. What is Bermuda grass, the tall, spiky little things that seem to be in a group in the yard?
No,
That's
no,
what I,
no. It spreads along the top of the grass. It looks like a chain type thing. No, not tall and spiky.
okay. What is it that I have that's tall, spiky? It's in groups. It can be pulled out very easily by the root, but it seems to be spreading. It's a
It almost kind of
different
sounds
colored
like you've got
green.
nut grass. There is what you've got.
Nut grass. Okay.
Yes, and that's
I'll-
it's not really a grass; it's really a sedge. So there's a special
Okay.
killer for it. But yeah, we've got it. We can get you set up for that.
Got it. Great. Also, trimming my hydrangeas, my limelight hydrangeas. I had a friend that trims them every year, and every year they get larger, and the heads are beautiful but so heavy.
Yeah.
She claims that by trimming them every year, they get heavier and not as sightly. Is that true?
I don't know. I definitely would trim them every year, only because they can get kind of out of hand.
Right.
So
Okay.
I would just trim them, just keep them back. I didn't know they got bigger if you trimmed them, but
Okay.
yeah,
Well, you would know.
yeah, I would
Okay.
definitely keep them trimmed. Yes. Otherwise,
Okay.
they're beautiful and I love it, but I don't like it when when it's bent over, so the flowers are on the ground. That doesn't help me at all.
I know. There's not really any way but to tie them up, I guess.
There are little plant stands, but boy, those things get so big so quickly that I would try
They
to keep
do.
them, cut down to a normal size. Yes.
Right. Okay. They make beautiful bouquets for friends.
Oh, they do, don't they? Yes.
Yes. They do. Thank you so much. You
Oh,
have a
thank
great
you.
day.
Oh, you too. Okay, if you're like that person, have a question, give me a call. 616-395-1450 is the number to call. 616-395-1450. I'll get that number. I just said it. How could I forget it that quickly? I was just looking at this little. I was trimming my rose bushes back the other day because they kind of outgrew the area. And my goodness, they bit back. I got this thing on my arm, and it was just from one of the thorns, and it's the craziest little thing ever. And it's 2 weeks old. It still has not scabbed over. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if that thorn is still in there. I tried the bag balm to draw it out, but I can't see anything in it, can't feel anything, but I know it was a rose thorn that got me. So be careful. And it was right above the level where my gloves are. So I'm going to go, I think, elbow length gloves the next time I trim my rose bushes. Oh my goodness, they were out to kill me that day. But I did really need to get them under control. I know it probably wasn't the greatest time to do it, but they were starting to take over, and I could not believe how well they were doing this summer. They just kind of took off. So, I have enjoyed the roses, but hey, sorry, they got just trimmed right back because they were getting too big. Sometimes that's life, and sometimes you do things out of season where you're not supposed to do that. I'm sorry, Mr. Rosebush. I hope it comes back. But after it attacked me, I don't know if I really care anymore. It can leave. All right. Another thing everybody is complaining about is moles. Everybody's got moles in their yard. They're making a mess. They're making the tunnels, the mounds, the whole 9 yards. I finally got rid of the moles in my backyard, but I can look out my bedroom window and look down, and I see where the runs were from 2 years ago. Yet the grass just has not filled in, so that's something I've got to do this fall is fill in all those areas where the grass seed has not really done anything yet. So I got to do that this fall. But they can make such a mess. So I got rid of mine. I did some trapping. I'm not a real good trapper. I think I got two. And then I feel so bad that I killed them that no, I don't like that. But then I throw the poison worms down there. Now that really seemed to get them. They haven't come back now. I think it's been 2 years now. I still haven't repaired the lawn, but it's been 2 years since the moles have left. So the mole worms did help. I put them in the active runs. I punched all the runs down. The ones that pop up, they're the long, straight ones usually. That's where you put the mole worms down. I took a stick, made a hole, put the worm down, and then you got to cover that hole so no sunlight gets back down on it. That's the whole trick. If they sense sunlight, which they're kind of blind, but they do sense sunlight, they will go right around it. Doesn't matter if they looks like it's something good or not. If it's in the sun, no, they're not going to do it. So make sure you cover up any hole that you made. I like to take, a brown paper grocery bag or whatever, cut a bunch little squares and wad it up and put it in that hole first, and then put the soil on top of it. And that way, no soil gets on top of the worm that I just put down, and no sunlight comes in. That's really important. And if you want to trap, again, make sure no sunlight gets in. I don't know if you've ever seen it where you put a trap in their run and you think, that's it, I'm going to get it. And up next day, you go out there and you see where they dug and they just went right around the trap, probably because some sunlight came in. So if you're going to put a trap down, put a 5-gallon bucket over top of it so it covers it up so no sunlight gets down there. That way, it's a good way that, if they don't see the sunlight, they're going to go right on through. That's always a good thing. We want to catch the moles. We don't want to make them dig more holes around what we've already got. So, because if you've got moles, you've got a lot of digging all the way around. Now, remember some of these small curved runs, that's not a run that they're going in and out of. Some of them, they just kind of meander down looking for food, and they never go down those runs again. So if you want to know which ones they're going to be in, it's the ones that are long and straight. And if they've got a mound above the ground, you can just kind of punch around that mound until you don't feel any resistance. Put the worm on in there and cover it up. You've hit their little den. So I don't know if their living room or kitchen or whatever they've got, but you've hit something. So put the poison worm down there. You have to be persistent. It's not going to be putting one worm down there and you're going to kill the one mole, because there's more than one. You're going to need to kill a whole extended family. So, one comes and you kill one and 3 come to its funeral. So you've got to keep that in mind. So you got to keep it up. But after they'll they'll just stay away from your lawn. If they get that person they're always dying there, they'll move elsewhere. So just be persistent. That's all I can say. Be persistent on your mole trapping and baiting. There are other things out there. The castor oil spray or the granular castor oil, you can put that down. Can work, might work, maybe might not. It's the whole where it covers the food with the castor oil and they don't like it, and they'll go away. Might might not. Who knows? But it's worth a try. If you've got them in one spot, you can kind of drive them out. But what you have to do is you have to start at the house, and you have to make a band of this around the house first. So they'll start to leave and they'll go away from the house. And after you've got that band and you've watered it in well, keep doing bands around to get them out and away until they finally are in the neighbor's lawn. All right, we need to stop for the news. We'll be back after that happens.
This is Eric Dame of ConnectingVets.com. Listen to Eye on Veterans every Saturday morning at 6 on 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.
All right. Okay, woke up after that music. Thank you very much. Talking about gardens, we're going to kind of switch subjects here. Your garden, I took out a lot of my green beans already, and some of the pepper plants are done. I took those out. As you're taking things out, you can plant things in there for the fall garden. Think peas. Get your peas in the next week, so you can have a crop or two of peas in the fall. Kind of nice to have them because nobody else has them, but you'll have them. And I love fresh peas out of the garden. It's not going to be as good a crop as it is in the spring, but hey, the days are winding down. You'll still get something kind of fun to do. Get your lettuce in, your radishes, your salad stuff, your romaine, your spinach. Get all that stuff in right now. You get a nice fall crop out of those. They work extremely well in the fall. Kale works fine, and the other greens, get those in the ground. Turnips, beets, carrots, those are things to get in the ground, get them going for the, before the weather gets too bad. A lot of those things, the turnips, carrots, beets, you can keep in the ground for a while. Make sure you mulch them over well, and then you can dig them up. I remember going out at Christmas and Thanksgiving, digging out carrots out of the garden when I was younger. So something that you can do, make sure you put a little stick where they are so you know where they are so you're not just digging blindly. But if you mulch them well, they won't freeze in the ground, and that you can you get them until the ground freezes. So that's just kind of a bonus. And especially the carrots do extremely well. I know, I'm trying to think, my dad did turnips, carrots, beets were always in the garden. So we had to go out there and dig those up. I do remember that. And if you've got your little children to do all of your garden work, that's always a good thing to do. Yeah, that's always a great thing. But make sure, even as you're, pulling out some of the crops that are done, make sure you do keep your garden well weeded. Weeds do take nutrition from your plants that are there. And if your plants are anything like my tomato plants that are like taking over the world right now, yes, you need to keep those weeds out of there. Insects hide in the weeds, disease spores hide there, and the weeds themselves, rob your plants of nutrition. So make sure you get those weeds out, keep it well weeded, and you should be fine. When you're taking out your crops, if you're not going to put anything else in, make sure you take everything out. Don't leave like some cherry tomatoes in the ground or a squash that fell to the ground. Don't keep that there, because then you get these, plants that come up the next summer, and they aren't going to be as good especially if they're a squash or something like that. Heaven knows what you're going to get. You're going to get whatever the bees were at, and from whatever flowers they were at. Those seeds are not going to be true to what you ate last fall. So that's something to get out of the garden. Put it on a compost pile. Hopefully it gets hot enough that it kills it over the winter, and that will be fine. And get nice compost the next spring. But yes, it's something that makes sure you do remove all of the vegetable matter out of your garden. You can put a cover crop in. A lot of people put rye in as a cover crop. You can put oats in or wheat, whatever you would prefer. I had someone that wanted to do buckwheat. Buckwheat is a summer crop. It likes warm soils, and it's not going to go into the fall well. So don't bother with the buckwheat, but you can do wheat or rye or oats. All three of those will work as a cover crop. People use rye around here best because that usually will stay green all winter long. I can't guarantee that with the oats or the rye, or the oats or the wheat, but the rye does. And it just stays green under there. And then in the spring, you plow it under before you have to put your new garden in. And it works well, adds some organic matter to the soil, and it holds the soil there. So in the winter winds can't pick up the soil and take it away from your garden. You do want something there to hold the soil in place, and the cover crop will do that. So keep the cover crops out there, and plant them. And you can do them now if you want. If you're sick of your garden, pull it all out now, and put in a cover crop. It's fine. I'm not going to judge you. There are years that some things, just don't do well, and I just want to pull them out. I'm sick of them. And there are other years that everything works fine. I can't be, not going to judge. That's going to be up to you, whatever you'd like to do. Or if you got to go away or whatever, and you're not going to be able to take care of your garden, pull it out early. That's fine. But if you're going to be there, you might want to think about planting something in the fall. If you've never done that before, it's really fun. I will give you that. I will also tell you that the garden mums and the fall pansies should be in probably by the end of next week, which would be really fun if you want to do some things, put some things in the garden that are a little different, or if you want to fill some flower boxes. I've got a couple of my flower boxes. They look a little worse for wear over the summer. I'll tell you, in July they all looked beautiful, but now there are some that are just not looking that nice anymore. So you might want to think about those fall pansies. And I know we also get other things too, like the flowering cabbage and flowering kale. Always fun to do. So you might want to think about, freshening up your flower boxes and maybe some flower things that you've got out on your deck or whatever. You might want to consider, the next couple of weeks of putting some fall flowers in there. So, kind of change with the seasons, because some of our annuals like that summer heat a lot better than they like the fall, a little chillier days. We need to stop, take a break, but we will be back with the Garden Show after these messages.
Where Holland turns for news and more. 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
As we have gone along the show, the music has gotten a little more energetic here. I guess we've really got to wake up for this one now. But you've got the lawn and garden show right now. We're going to talk about. We talked about your flowers that are outside. Might want to think about in the next couple of weeks to put out some fall flowers. I will tell you, if you're like me and you brought a bunch of your houseplants outside for the summer. To enjoy the nice weather. And I know the weather is still nice right now, and you think, why is she talking about bringing them in already? But what you need to do is you need to put your house plants in the shade, under a tree or on the shadier part of your deck. because it has to get used to the lower light levels before you bring them inside. So if you can gradually put them in the shade and get them used to being in a little lower light than they were all summer long, I don't want you to kill your plant. So do kind of do that little interim of for a week or so, and get those in a little less sunny of an area, and then you can start thinking about bringing them inside after that. Once the temperatures have hit 50 degrees, they need to come inside, especially if you have any tropical thing. By 50 degrees, you need to have those inside. So some of your tropical plants, like you've got some ferns out there that are tropical, you might want to think about putting them in the shade right now and getting them inside. And now getting them inside does require you to, you know, make sure you don't bring in any hitchhikers. And that doesn't just mean insects. I want you to make sure you spray it down or put it in the shower to get rid of anything that's on there. But I had one where there were 3 toads that were living in the bottom of my pot. I had not a clue. I brought it inside, and there, all of a sudden, there's 3 toads hopping around my living room. The cat had a heyday with that one. And I'm trying to catch these stupid toads. So do make sure that you don't bring in toads, because it's not a fun thing to take care of. And make sure there are no hitchhikers on there, no insects, no scale. And then when you do bring them in, make sure that you do quarantine them away from your regular plants for a little bit. Just in case you've missed something. You certainly don't want to bring in scale and all of our mealybugs, and all of a sudden everything's got it. So do bring them in, do wash them off. Putting them in the shower works extremely well, and just kind of spray it off. That usually takes care of most of the insects. Occasionally you miss one or two, so that's why you keep them in isolation just in case. If you do have something that's a little bit worse than, just a couple of little bugs here and there, you might want to spray them down. Insecticidal soap works well. Make sure you cover the whole plant, both above the leaf and under the leaf, because if you just spray the tops of the leaves, the bugs are just going to go under the leaves and they're not going to be affected by it. So you do have to remember that when you spray, you do have to cover the whole plant pretty well. So even with insecticidal soap. So make sure that you do get the tops of the leaves and underneath of the leaves before you bring them in. And you can flush out the pests from the containers. You can just put your whole pot in a bigger pot of warm water, and that should get rid of anything that's in the ground, including toads. That should help. That's another thing that you can do, but you do have to get the pests out of there before you bring them in. Don't soak anything like a cactus or a succulent plant, though. That's not a good thing. And do be careful with your succulents. Just a brush sometimes will take care of those things. That would be good enough. Again, the garden hose, if you don't have a shower that you want to bring them into, just kind of spray them off and spray off any insects. So we want to keep our house plants and bring them on inside. Usually fall is not the time of year that we repot them unless they are just in desperate need of a new pot. Usually we wait till the spring to do that. So we don't necessarily have to repot in the fall. Again, unless you have completely outgrown a pot, like my mother-in-law's tongue has completely outgrown. It's this huge plant in this little teeny tiny pot. It needs to be, and I know it likes to be crowded. The roots like to be crowded, but that thing's ridiculous. So that thing needs to be repotted. I have repotted absolutely everything this spring and early summer, but didn't ever get around to that one. So it's just kind of sitting there looking at me right now. I'm like, hey, I'm over here. Please repot me. And again, kind of fun to take care of your house plants. You're going to have them in your house all winter, so it's a fun thing to do. And now we're just going to watch the birds right now. We've got some summer migrants coming through, going back south. So let's try to entice as many of them as we possibly can to come through and, stop by our feeders or stop by our bird baths. Make sure you've got nice clean water in there. When it's going to get warm again next week, especially if it gets humid, make sure you get the mosquito dunks in there so you don't get the mosquito larvae, or make sure you clean it out every day. But nice clean water. You'll be surprised how many birds will be there taking a bath and just chattering away. I love to listen to them when they're in the bird bath. They are just singing away. Maybe that's where we get singing in the shower. It's singing in the bathtub for the birds. They are so much fun to watch. And, take advantage of the sale at DeBruyn's right now for Jan's No Waste Feed. It has got peanuts in it, cashews. It's got little suet balls. It's got a lot of sunflower. It's got safflower. It's got all the stuff the birds love. And there's no shells, so you don't ever have to worry about cleaning up underneath the feeder, because they'll eat everything that's in there. Even if it drops to the ground, they'll eat it, so you don't have to clean it up. That's the best part of my bird feed. And believe me, we took a long time to get that going, get the perfect mix for it. So that one works really well this time of year. So does the Mr. B's fruit and nut. The migrating birds love fruit. They love the nuts that are in there. It looks like trail mix. I don't see how they could miss not liking that. And you can always take some mealworms and mix it in with the feed also, and really attract some of those insect eaters too. All right, my time is just about up here. I'm going to remind you, I will be back on Tuesday morning at 8:45 or so, 8:35 with Dan Evans with the Garden Party, and I will be on the Garden Hour at 10 o'clock on Talk of the Town. I had to think about this. The Garden Hour, 10 o'clock with Gary Stevens on Tuesday morning also. Don't know if I'll make it here next week. We'll just kind of playing it by ear right now, but hopefully I will be. But, folks, that's life. But until next week at 8:45 on Tuesday morning, all I can say really is go green.
You've been listening to the Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com. If you wish to hear this or other programs hosted by the Master Gardener from DeBruyn Seeds in Zeeland, check out the podcast section of our website, WHTC.com, and listen or download for free. The Jan Meeuwsen Garden Show is a presentation of 99.7 and 1450 WHTC.